What if one of Britain's most private royal stories was hiding behind a trail of money, power, and silence? Reports and royal rumors have fueled claims about Princess and Camilla and secret financial dealings, but what is actually true? And why does King Charles sit at the center of this mystery? As questions begin to spread, one thing becomes clear: the royal story may be far more complicated than the headlines suggest. And the most surprising part comes when the money trail points somewhere few expected. The story begins with a claim that sounds almost too dramatic to be true. Princess Anne had supposedly uncovered something troubling about Queen Camilla's finances. The words "hidden bank accounts" quickly make the story sound like a royal scandal. But before we go any further, there is an important line between a dramatic online claim and a proven fact. There is no reliable evidence that Princess Anne exposed secret bank accounts belonging to Camilla. In fact, misinformation about Anne and Camilla has circulated online before. Fact-checkers have even found fake or AI-generated audio that falsely made it sound as if Anne had attacked Camilla. So why does this story feel believable to so many people? Part of the answer is that royal finances really are complicated. The royal family has several different sources of money, including the sovereign grant, private wealth, and income connected to royal estates. The official royal website says these financial arrangements include public funding as well as private income. And in 2026, royal finances became an even bigger public subject. King Charles made history by publicly revealing his personal tax bill for the first time. Reports said he paid £12.9 million in tax for the 2024-25 financial year. His private income also includes money connected to the Duchy of Lancaster, along with other estates and investments. That disclosure matters because it shows just how complex the royal money system can be. But it does not prove that Camilla has secret bank accounts, and it does not prove that Anne discovered them. Still, there is a fascinating question hiding underneath the headline. If the claim itself cannot be confirmed, why was Princess Anne placed at the center of it in the first place? Anne has long had a reputation for being direct, serious, and deeply committed to royal duty. She is also one of the hardest-working members of the monarchy. Recent reporting has highlighted the significant official support connected to her decades of royal service. That makes the idea of Anne confronting a financial mystery perfect material for a dramatic royal story. But the real story may not be about a secret account at all. It may be about something much bigger: how royal money works, who controls it, what the public can see, and why so much confusion surrounds it. And once we understand that system, the claims surrounding Camilla, and the role supposedly played by Anne, start to look very different. For years, Princess Anne and Queen Camilla have stood in very different places inside the royal family. Anne was born into the monarchy long before Camilla became part of King Charles's public life. She grew up as the daughter of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, and over decades she built a reputation around duty, hard work, and keeping her private life away from the spotlight. Camilla's journey was very different. Her relationship with Charles became one of the most talked about stories in modern British royal history. After years of public attention, Charles and Camilla married in 2005. Camilla later became queen consort when Charles became king, and she was crowned queen alongside him in 2023. That history alone explains why people often look for tension between the two women. But there is a problem with the popular story. A disagreement between royal family members does not automatically mean there is a secret financial battle behind closed doors. In fact, public evidence shows that Anne and Camilla have also appeared together at important royal events and carried out duties as working members of the monarchy. Their public relationship is much more complicated than the simple idea of two women fighting for power. Still, there is one detail that makes this story especially interesting. Anne has spent decades inside the royal system. She understands its traditions, responsibilities, and strange financial structure better than most people ever could. She has also remained one of the most active members of the family. Camilla, meanwhile, entered the royal system through marriage. That difference matters. One woman was born into the institution. The other became part of it through one of the most controversial royal relationships of the modern era. And that creates a natural question. If a serious financial issue ever appeared inside the monarchy, who would understand the system well enough to challenge it? That question may explain why Anne's name gets attached to stories like this. But there is another layer. The royal family does not operate like an ordinary household where every person simply receives a paycheck from one shared bank account. The money connected to the monarchy comes through different arrangements, including public funding and private resources. The sovereign grant, for example, supports official royal duties and the running of occupied royal palaces. It is not simply personal spending money for the king or other royals. This distinction is important because sensational stories often mix different types of royal money together. Public funds. private income, estate revenue, personal wealth, and official expenses. Put them all into one story, and it can sound like a secret financial empire. But separate them, and the picture becomes much clearer. That is why the claim about Camilla's supposed hidden bank accounts needs to be handled carefully. A dramatic headline can create the impression that a discovery has already been proven when the available evidence does not support that conclusion. And yet, there is a real financial question worth examining. Camilla's position as queen comes with official duties, royal expenses, and access to resources connected to the monarchy. Charles also has financial arrangements that are separate from the public funding used for official duties. So where does Camilla's money actually come from? And what part of it is public, private, or connected to the king? That is where the story becomes much more interesting. Because once you follow the money system instead of the rumor, another question appears. Could the hidden accounts story have confused private royal wealth with something else entirely? And that is the mystery we need to uncover next. To understand the claim about Camilla's supposed hidden bank accounts, we first have to step away from the dramatic headline and look at how royal finances actually work. The British monarchy has never been financially simple. There are public funds, private income, royal estates, official expenses, and personal wealth. These different parts can easily become mixed together in online stories. Once that happens, a normal financial arrangement can suddenly sound like a secret account. And that is where the Camilla story becomes especially confusing. Camilla became queen when Charles became king in September 2022. Her official role is closely tied to the monarch, but that does not mean every pound connected to the royal household belongs to her personally. The royal family's official financial system has several separate parts. The sovereign grant is one of the most important. It is public money provided to support official duties and the running of occupied royal palaces. It is not designed as a private bank account for members of the royal family. Then there is the Duchy of Lancaster. When Charles became king, he stopped receiving income from the Duchy of Cornwall and became entitled to the income from the Duchy of Lancaster. The duchy is a historic estate that provides private income to the reigning monarch. Its annual accounts are published publicly, giving people a chance to examine its financial activity. This distinction is crucial. Because if someone sees a large amount of money connected to a royal estate, that does not automatically mean the money sits in a secret personal account. It may be part of a much larger structure involving property, investments, taxes, maintenance, and official responsibilities. That still leaves a question about Camilla. What personal wealth does she have? Camilla has her own financial history from before becoming queen. She also became connected to Charles's financial world through marriage. But that is very different from evidence proving that she secretly controlled undisclosed bank accounts. No credible public evidence has established the dramatic claim that princess and discovered hidden accounts belonging to Camilla. And that matters. Because the word exposed suggests there was a confirmed discovery. So far, there is no reliable evidence showing that happened. Yet the rumor keeps working because it combines several things people already find fascinating about the monarchy: money, family tension, private decisions, and secrecy. It creates a story where and becomes the truth teller and Camilla becomes the person hiding something. But real royal life is rarely that simple. In fact, the public record shows something more complicated. The royal family has faced years of questions about transparency, public funding, estate income, and the difference between royal wealth and taxpayer money. These questions are real, even when individual rumors are not. And King Charles has increasingly faced pressure to explain financial matters more openly. That makes one event especially important. In 2026, Charles publicly disclosed his personal tax bill for the first time. Reports said he paid £12.9 million in tax during the 2024-25 financial year. That revelation did not prove the existence of secret Camilla accounts. But it did something else. It showed the public just how large and complicated the king's private financial world can be. And once that information entered the public conversation, people had a new reason to ask questions about royal money. How much is public? How much is private? Who controls it? And what does the king actually know about the finances surrounding his household? Those questions bring us directly to Charles. Because if the title of this story promises that what Charles did shook Britain, then we need to examine what Charles actually did, not what social media claims he did. And the answer may be less explosive than the rumor, but far more revealing. By this point, the story has reached its most important question. If there really was a hidden financial problem inside the royal household, what did King Charles know about it? The answer begins with something we can actually verify. There is no reliable public evidence showing that Charles was confronted by Princess Anne over secret Camilla bank accounts. There is also no credible record proving that and uncovered a hidden financial scheme involving Camilla. So the dramatic scene often suggested by the headline should not be treated as a confirmed event. But Charles has faced real questions about royal finances. And those questions have become harder to ignore. When Charles became king in 2022, he inherited an institution that had spent decades dealing with public debates about money. The monarchy receives public support for official duties, while the king also has private income connected to historic estates. That system can be difficult for ordinary people to understand. And when money is involved, confusion can quickly become suspicion. One of the biggest pieces of the puzzle is the Duchy of Lancaster. The duchy provides income to the reigning monarch. It is separate from the sovereign grant and has its own accounts. That means the king's financial world is not simply one giant pool of taxpayer money. There are different streams, different rules, different responsibilities, and different levels of public information. That distinction became even more important after Charles's tax disclosure. In 2026, the king's accounts revealed that he paid millions in tax on his private income. Reports put the amount at £12.9 million for the 2024-25 financial year. For some people, that disclosure showed transparency. For others, it raised even more questions. Why had this information not been publicly highlighted in the same way before? How much more exists inside the royal financial structure? And how does Camilla fit into it? Those questions are reasonable. But reasonable questions are not the same as proof of wrongdoing. That is where online royal stories can become dangerous for accuracy. A claim begins with a real subject, royal finances. Then another real subject is added, Camilla's role in the monarchy. Then a third subject appears, Princess Anne's reputation for being direct and independent. Finally, the pieces are connected into one dramatic story. Suddenly, the audience is told that Anne discovered secret accounts and Charles was forced to react. But the evidence does not establish that chain of events. Still, there is something fascinating about Charles's response to financial scrutiny. Instead of ignoring the subject completely, the royal institution has continued publishing financial information through official reports and annual accounts. The royal household's financial reports provide details about spending supported by the sovereign grant, while other royal estates publish their own information. That means the public can examine parts of the system. Not every personal financial detail is public. But the idea that everything is completely hidden is also misleading. And that leaves us with an uncomfortable middle ground. The monarchy has real financial privacy. It also has real financial transparency. The two exist at the same time. And that is exactly why a story about hidden bank accounts can sound believable without actually being proven. But there is still one question left. If the claim about Camilla's accounts is not supported by reliable evidence, what real financial information may have been twisted into this story? Because somewhere inside the complicated world of royal estates, private income, taxes, and public funding, there may be the clue that explains how this rumor started. And following that clue takes us straight to the money trail. The phrase, money trail, makes this story sound like someone followed a secret path from one hidden account to another. But the real trail is much less mysterious, and much more interesting. Royal finances are built around several different systems. Understanding those systems helps explain why claims about secret money can spread so quickly. Start with the sovereign grant. This is public funding used to support official royal work and the running of occupied royal palaces. It helps cover things such as staff, property maintenance, and official duties. Then there are the royal estates. The Duchy of Lancaster provides private income to the reigning monarch. It is an ancient estate with property and investments, and its financial accounts are published. The Duchy of Cornwall is another major royal estate, but its role changed when Charles became king. Before his accession, Charles received income from the Duchy of Cornwall as Prince of Wales. After becoming king, that income passed to Prince William, who became the new Prince of Wales. That single change shows how quickly royal finances can shift when the monarch changes. And it also shows why a headline about royal money can be misleading. Money connected to the monarchy does not necessarily mean money sitting in the personal account of a particular royal. Sometimes it belongs to an estate. Sometimes it supports official work. Sometimes it is private income. And sometimes it is simply an expense connected to carrying out royal duties. Now consider Camilla. As queen, she performs official duties alongside Charles. Her public role creates expenses, but that does not mean every expense is her personal wealth. The same applies to Princess Anne. And has spent decades carrying out official engagements, traveling for royal duties, supporting charities, and representing the monarchy. So if someone looks at the cost of royal life without understanding the structure behind it, the numbers can easily look shocking. That may be one reason stories about secret accounts gain attention. But there is another reason. People are naturally interested in what powerful families do with money. And the British royal family is one of the most famous families in the world. A claim involving Camilla and Charles can spread much faster than a complicated explanation of estate accounts. The simple story wins attention. The complicated truth takes time. And that is exactly where viewers need to be careful. There is currently no reliable evidence that Princess Anne discovered secret bank accounts belonging to Camilla. There is also no credible evidence that Charles carried out a dramatic response to such a discovery. That does not mean royal financial questions are unimportant. Far from it. The public has a legitimate interest in how taxpayers' money supports the monarchy, how royal estates operate, and how private royal income is handled. Charles's tax disclosure made that discussion even more interesting. His reported £12.9 million tax payment showed that the king's financial world is not small or simple. It also gave the public a rare look at part of his private financial position. But the disclosure did not reveal a hidden Camilla account. Instead, it highlighted something more basic. The closer you look at royal money, the more important the difference between public money and private wealth becomes. And that difference changes the entire story. The supposed scandal begins to lose its shape. But another question grows larger. Why would Britain care so much about a rumor involving Princess Anne and Camilla if there was no proof behind it? The answer may have less to do with bank accounts, and much more to do with trust. Money has always been one of the most sensitive subjects surrounding the British monarchy. People can accept tradition. They can accept royal ceremonies. They can even accept the strange rules and customs that have survived for centuries. But when public money enters the conversation, people start asking questions. How much does the monarchy cost? Who pays for it? What belongs to the king personally? And how much can the public actually see? That is why a dramatic claim about Camilla's supposed hidden accounts can attract so much attention. It touches a much bigger debate. Trust. For decades, the royal family has lived under intense public attention. Every house, car, trip, property, and major expense can become part of a wider conversation about whether the monarchy is worth the cost. Charles inherited that debate when he became king. And he also inherited a complicated financial system. The sovereign grant provides public funding for official royal duties. The Duchy of Lancaster provides private income to the monarch. Other royal properties and organizations have their own financial structures. Then there are taxes. Charles's 2026 disclosure of a £12.9 million personal tax bill gave the public another piece of the financial puzzle. For supporters of the monarchy, it could be seen as evidence that the king does contribute significant amounts back through taxation. For critics, it raised a different question. If so much money is connected to the royal institution, why is it still so difficult for ordinary people to understand where everything goes? Both reactions show the same thing. People want clarity. And when clarity is missing, rumors can fill the gap. That is where Princess Anne enters this story again. And has a very different public image from some other members of the royal family. She is often viewed as practical, disciplined, and less interested in celebrity-style attention. That image makes her an easy character to place inside a story about hidden information. The internet can turn that image into a dramatic narrative. And discovers something. Camilla is exposed. Charles reacts. Britain is shocked. It sounds like a complete royal thriller. But a documentary has to separate the thriller from the evidence. There is no reliable proof that Anne uncovered secret bank accounts belonging to Camilla. There is no verified record of a confrontation matching the dramatic story. And there is no trustworthy evidence that Charles made a shocking decision because of such an account. That is important to say clearly. But it does not make the subject boring. In fact, the truth may be more interesting. The real issue is how easily people can confuse royal wealth, royal expenses, public funding, and personal income. These are not the same thing. And once they become mixed together, a normal financial report can be turned into a story about hidden money. That is why official documents matter. They slow the story down. They force us to ask what is actually known. And they make it harder for a dramatic claim to become a fact simply because thousands of people repeat it. Still, one question remains. If there was never a proven discovery of secret Camilla accounts, what should viewers actually take away from this story? The answer is not that every royal financial claim is false. The answer is that the truth sits somewhere between two extremes. The monarchy is not completely financially invisible. But neither is every royal financial detail open for public inspection. And that gray area is exactly where suspicion grows. It is also where the final piece of this story begins. Because once we separate the real facts from the dramatic claims, we can finally answer the biggest question. Was Princess Anne really exposing Camilla, or was the internet exposing something else entirely? After following the story from the first rumor to the real royal financial system, the picture is finally becoming clear. There is no reliable evidence that Princess Anne exposed secret bank accounts belonging to Camilla. There is also no verified evidence that King Charles was confronted with such accounts and then made a shocking decision that stunned Britain. That does not mean royal finances are simple. They are not. The monarchy has public funding, private income, royal estates, official expenses, and personal wealth. Some financial information is made public through official reports and accounts. Other personal details remain private. That difference is important. It means the word hidden can be very misleading. Something can be private without being illegal. Something can be undisclosed without being a secret bank account. And something can be connected to the royal family without belonging personally to Camilla, Charles, or Anne. That is the part many dramatic online stories leave out. The claim about Anne and Camilla appears to take real interest in royal finances and turn it into a much bigger story. The names make it powerful. Princess Anne has a reputation for being serious and direct. Camilla has one of the most unusual journeys in modern royal history. Charles sits at the center of the monarchy and its financial system. Put those three names together with words like hidden accounts and exposed, and the story becomes almost impossible to ignore. But a powerful headline is not proof. And that may be the biggest lesson here. The real mystery is not whether Anne secretly discovered Camilla's bank accounts. The evidence does not establish that. The real mystery is why stories like this spread so easily. The answer may be simple. People want to know what happens behind palace walls. They want to know what royals say when cameras are gone. They want to understand who has power, who controls money, and what the public is not being told. Those questions are understandable. But they also create the perfect environment for rumors. A small piece of real information can become a huge story after it passes through social media. A financial report becomes a secret account. A royal disagreement becomes a palace war. A private decision becomes a shocking betrayal. And suddenly, a claim is repeated so many times that people begin to mistake repetition for proof. That is exactly why the evidence matters. The royal family can, and should, face questions about money. The public deserves clear information about public funding. Royal estates should be examined. Official spending should be questioned when necessary. But those real questions should not be mixed with claims that have no reliable evidence behind them. So, did Princess Anne expose Camilla's hidden bank accounts? Based on the available evidence, no confirmed discovery has been established. Did Charles make a shocking move because of those accounts? There is no reliable evidence proving that dramatic event either. What we actually found is more complicated, and perhaps more revealing. The royal financial system is real. The public debate about royal money is real. Charles's financial disclosures are real. But the sensational story about and exposing secret Camilla accounts remains unproven. And sometimes, the truth is not the loudest story. It is the story that survives when the rumors are removed. So now the question belongs to you. Do you think stories like this come from real royal tensions, or do social media rumors simply turn small details into huge scandals? Tell us what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep look behind the headlines, subscribe for more royal documentaries, forgotten stories, and surprising facts from the world's most famous families. And if you want to see more investigations like this, share this video with someone who follows the British royal family. Finally, turn on notifications so you do not miss the next story when we uncover what really happened behind another royal headline. Because when the cameras stop rolling, the real questions often begin.